Hello, my magical friends. It is Tuesday, 4 p.m. It is our live chat, or at least my live chat, and I hope you are enjoying joining me. Okay, phew. What shall we talk about today? So, I'm here most every Tuesday at 4 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. We call it our live chat. We did a bunch of superpowers over the summer, and now we kind of shifted following the energy, because we do a lot with energy here, following the energy, and kind of shifted into TLC, Tuesday live chat. How cool is that? A couple weeks ago, we actually touched base with you guys out there in the internet land and asked what was up for you. So if anything is up for you, we can start there today. I don't have any hard and fast, have to do it this way kind of thing. Oh, except for, hi Keisha, thank you for joining me today. I'm Dr. Andy. I play in Dr. Andy's world. My day job is I am a certified animal chiropractor in Colorado in the US. I play with dog bodies all day long, and I love consciousness. And so the title today, or the topic today, we started with what was the lowest common denominator, kind of moved into mediocrity, and it kind of led me into consciousness. Because when I found access consciousness, when I found consciousness almost 10 years ago now, excuse me, I'm gonna cough. I thought I was conscious because I was awake. I had no idea of this realm of consciousness that people spoke of. I was very much in that point of view in my life that I just had to make it through one more day. Really fun energy there, right? Like, just make it through one more day. And then what? Get through another day? And then how many days do you get through and then you die? That's essentially what I was looking at. Really fun energy, right? Really fun energy. And then I was introduced to this body of work called Access Consciousness. This body of work called consciousness. And ideally, you can use whatever tools and processes you choose to travel down this journey of consciousness. It doesn't have to be access. That's my cup of tea, but what do you know? Okay, let's put that out there. But what if consciousness is not just being awake, not just getting through that next day? What's it going to take to get through this day? Like, what else can we create here? Okay, so like I mentioned, we were going to start with the lowest common denominator, and that came out of the positive podcast that I do on Fridays on Inspired Choices Network called Dr. Andy's World. And on Friday, because I'm there 3 p.m. Mountain Standard Time on every Friday, every single Friday, I'm there, baby. We had my good friend and colleague, Dr. Judy Jasek, on, and we were talking about carbohydrates in your dog's diet. We talk about diet a lot. And then, so we were going to follow up this live chat. We were going to be correct and appropriate and follow up and talk about, you know, not feeding, I guess we'll go with that, not feeding food that's the lowest common denominator. And I started looking at that energy. And I personally, this is me, you choose for you. I personally see taking the easy way out. These are my points of view. You don't have to buy them from me. You don't. You really don't. That taking the easy way out, not educating yourself, not choosing to put in a little bit more work, not looking at things on a bigger picture, is functioning from the lowest common denominator. It's functioning from being mediocre. I'm going to say it. You ready, everybody? I'm going to say it's feeding kibble, because that's just what everybody does. I am a weirdo. Yes, welcome weirdos. That if it is something that everybody does, I'm not going to do it. Mere principle. Don't do it. Not going to do it. Always been that way. And I've always made myself wrong for that. Like, everybody wanted to play on the swings on the playground when we went out for recess. I went and did the balance beam. Like, no matter what, I had to do it different. I'm not going to do it the way everybody else does it. And this, right? Like, I'm going to go to college. I did do that, like many folks do. And then I went on, I'm not going to go to medical school. I'm going to go to chiropractic school because I got to be different, right? Okay, I go through a weirdo and a rebel, pretty much. And then I went to chiropractic school. Okay, cool. But I don't see people. I'm going to see animals. See how I seem to choose the different. I seem to choose the weird. I don't seem to choose the path always traveled. Okay. So when consciousness found me, I finally found some tools and processes and some people that I could stop making myself wrong for that. Okay. Now, always choosing to be different, or always choosing to be weird, or always choosing just to go against the grain, may not always be my easy choice. Haha. But with consciousness, I get to, because I choose it, I get to go on my own journey, and I get to go, hey, I'm choosing to be different here because A, it's going to contribute, or B, because I always choose to be different even if it makes my life harder. And it does, and every situation is different. So what I define consciousness as, and Access Consciousness defines consciousness as, including everything and judging nothing. And yes, that is the grand, beautiful definition of it. I look at consciousness, again, my point of view. You get to choose, you get to get your own points of view. You get to choose for you. Okay, so don't ever just buy my points of view because I'm saying it. Okay, I see consciousness as being willing to look at why we choose the things we choose. And yes, kibble's just gross. It is. It's the lowest common denominator. It's what I consider mediocre. I consider it what just everybody goes and buys their bag of kibble because everybody goes and buys their kibble. And I would love for people to actually just take a conscious look at what they're feeding their animals, what they're feeding themselves. Like, do you go to McDonald's every single day to eat? Would you choose to actually go to McDonald's every single day and eat it? Or do we know that nutritionally, that is not going to sustain our bodies as well as it could? But it's cheap, it's easy, and everybody does it, so I can choose McDonald's too. It's cheap, it's easy. I can buy a bag of kibble at any store and feed my dog that. So this is what I'm talking about, is the consciousness of why. And why is not a great question, and we can maybe have another live chat about why and why it's not a great question, but why do you feed what you feed your animals? Why do you do it? Do you do it because it's easy? Do you do it because that's what your mother did? Did you do it because that's what your vet said? Do you do it because that's what the breeder said? Why do you choose to feed your animals what you feed them? Why do you choose what you feed to feed yourself what you feed yourself? Are you vegan? Is it because of this reason? Or do you eat only grass-fed meat because of this reason? What if consciousness is actually becoming aware of why you choose what you choose? And then nothing's right and nothing's wrong. You can still choose that. You still can. Nothing's right, nothing's wrong. But it's that lapse of zombie land almost of, this is what I've always done, so this is what I'm going to do. I've always bought this type of mouthwash. I will always buy this type of mouthwash. My parents bought this brand of dog food. I'm going to buy this brand of dog food. I bought my last 3 dogs from this breeder. This is what she feeds. What is it going to take for people to go, hey, why am I choosing to do this? Does this actually work for me? About anything. Anything. Your relationships, your jobs, the way you drive to work, the car you drive on that way to work. Do you always just buy Ford because your parents have always just bought Ford? I don't know, right? So Christy says, so many options, I'm afraid of making the wrong choice. And again, what if nothing's right and nothing's wrong? And this is not essentially even going, I don't even know why I said that. It's not even going to the step of choosing. Well, we can get into choosing. Oh my goodness, that's a whole nother topic. But why do you do the things you do? Do you go through your day completely on autopilot? Is there actually any consciousness there? I know you're awake. I know you got dressed. I know you got to work. I know you had your 3 cups of coffee. I know you had lunch at noon, right? Critical thinking has become a superpower. Yes, those are not the words I'm using, but yes, that why we're doing stuff. And what would happen if I chose something else? And I don't actually, hi Amber, I don't actually want to get into choice today. Choice is a whole other galaxy. Let's back it up. Are you choosing what you've always chosen because that's what you've always done, because that's what you learned from XYZ? Most commonly our parents. Most commonly the family we were brought up. I had to take I've taken lots of hard looks at all of this. And I grew up, mom and dad, 3 younger brothers, very middle class, very American family, and OMG, they would buy, this is probably the most blatant example I can give you. They would buy whatever the cheapest thing was. Needed a dishwasher, they bought the cheapest one. They needed a car, they bought the least expensive car they could possibly get all of these children into, right? That was never, a question there. There was never, okay, how long is the cheapest dishwasher going to last? But if you bought the mid-grade dishwasher, would it last 5 more years and actually work better, make more sense, and contribute more? Just choose not kibble. Neely would like me just to tell you all, just choose not kibble. But what are the long-term effects of always going with the lowest common denominator? Always choosing mediocre? Always, what's the long-term effects of buying the cheapest dishwasher now to save $1 now? That's going to maybe cost so much more, let's say, when it breaks down and floods your house. What's the cost going to be if you feed kibble now when they're 8, 9, 10 years down the line and you have medical issues and you are paying out to veterinarians about stuff? No guarantee that's going to happen. And changing your food's not going to guarantee that that doesn't happen. There are no guarantees. None. There is question, and question creates. So how much of your life and living are you living on autopilot, doing it just because that's how everyone else does it, whoever the everyone else is in your life? And what's it going to create long term? What would you like your life and living to be like long term? What if we all got more conscious by asking a question like, how much does this kibble contribute to my animals and me? How much does, body, do you want 3 cups of coffee every day? Or would you rather have 1? Like, you can ask these questions in very different realms, right? But how much are you choosing to do what you do because that's what you've always done? And what if starting one toe on that journey of consciousness is questioning why you are choosing to do what you've always chosen to do? Right? And does that, and I call this, we're going to, where do we want to go? I kind of just, did you all just feel the energy go, whoop? What? I can't live my life on autopilot. I can't just keep choosing what I'm choosing because I can't just have this normal, regular life that I'm not really happy with because, well, everybody else has this normal, regular life that they're not really happy with. So, and I can't be really that happy because then I won't be normal and regular and fit in with everyone. So, the journey of consciousness with your animals, with your children, with your job, with your life and living, with your relationships, it all starts with you. So what if we started questioning why? Oh, it's not a good question, but why you are choosing what you choose to feed your animals. In that, we can travel down roads of too much carbohydrates, which we did with Dr. Judy in the pumpkin patch. We talked about feeding too much carbohydrates to your animals. You can look at that. You can look at the minerals. You can look at what the bone, you can get caught up in the details of being right in any topic on this planet, including how you feed your animals. But what I'd like you to look at, kind of my point of the live chat today, sorry, I'm gonna get crossing my legs here, is if you opened a bag of food for yourself or your child that looked like kibble does, smelled like kibble does, was as cheap as kibble was, would you consider that a healthy, nutritious meal? And if you answered no, for what reason do you continue to feed that? Now, everyone's all Dr. Andy. Anything else is too expensive. And my question to that is, if money wasn't the issue, what would you choose? It's a great question. It also spans topics. If money wasn't the issue, what would you choose? If money wasn't the issue, what would you choose? Right? And for what reason do you continue to do the same thing? You're here listening to me. So we are talking about consciousness. So let's start looking at what we are choosing and why we are choosing it, no matter what it is. And yes, feeding kibble is easy, it's cheap, it's convenient, all of that. And if that is what works for you, please continue. And you're probably not even listening to this anyway, right? And everywhere you need to get it right and perfect before you change stuff, right? How much do we need to get it right and perfect before we choose to do anything different? Because it's more comfortable, back to that comfortable, to stay with cheap, easy, convenient, instead of choosing something else, because we don't have the something else right and perfect. And again, I hate to tell you, you're not going to get it right and perfect. You have to choose it. It'll create something else. And then you go from there. And changing your pet's food may not work for you and your pet. That's okay too. But where else are you functioning from the lowest common denominator? Where else in your life and living are you functioning from mediocrity? Where else are you functioning from unconsciousness because you never question what else is possible in that area of your life? Is it relationship? Is it family? Is it financial? Is it money? Is it what you spend your money on? Like, where else are you not questioning what you are choosing and why you are choosing and how it contributes? And where else are you being unconscious and just doing what you've always done? Keisha says, I know many ferals who are happy to have the cheap stuff and add fresh kill snacks when they wanted that, and they thrived. That's giving choice. We don't always have those animals that are able to go out and scrounge up for themselves too. And then there's so many points of view around that. Yes, what if it's all just choice? Well, I can only do this much. Awesome. Is that going to contribute? Yes or no? I get a yes. Awesome. Go for it. What if it does XYZ with my animals? What if their GI does LMNOP? What if blah, blah, blah? I don't know. You have to choose it. You have to try it. You have to see what it creates. And then, if needed, course correct. Amber says, my head hurts. So how many out there are now like, oh my God, it just sounds like so much work? And so what if that's just your point of view, that is so much work, and it's easier to do autopilot. It's easier to be that zombie through your day. It's easier just to grab what you've always grabbed because that's what you've always grabbed. And what if that's also a lie of this reality that you've bought and sold? Just throwing a little bit out there in your universes. Chrissy's like, me too. And yes, nothing shows up the way you think it's going to. Nothing shows up the way you think it's going to. And what if the question, the choosing, am I choosing this for me or someone else? Am I choosing this because this is what I've always chosen? Am I choosing this because this actually works for me? Question, super duper fast. And yet, a muscle you have to build. And where in your life and living that you're always looking at how you do not function from the lowest common denominator. You do not function from mediocrity. You are always looking at stuff, and then there's almost that hole. And I find it quite often because of what I do. Like what I do in my day job, I see this all the time. You may not. Cool. Again, my point of view. But that hole is how we contribute to our animals, what we feed our animals. I went to chiropractic school for people. I have a doctorate in chiropractic. We get a lot of nutrition. We have a lot of discussions about vaccinations. We get a different education than our medical doctors. Okay? I think that's not a big secret, right? We cannot prescribe medications. So we do not have the pharmaceutical crutch of pretty much every other doctor out there, right? Oh, I don't know what this is. Here's your pill. Maybe that'll make you feel better. You'll just go away. Chiropractic is very different. We're very proud of that. We're very much into this is how much patient contact we do. This is how we look at all the body systems. We do see how all of this stuff contributes here or there, blah, blah, blah. And I've taken all of that to the animals, mostly dogs. I do not have a pill that I can give you. We play with the body and we have conversations about what is going on here. But I will have these same conversations with other chiropractors that follow a strict diet, do not vaccinate their children, that is their choice. They only grass-fed beef, and they go, and your dog? Well, we did all these vaccinations, we feed this kibble, and we spayed and neutered at an early age. And I sit there for a second, had many of these conversations actually, and they look at me after it comes out of their mouth and they're like, oh, never even thought to transfer everything that I knew about what I was doing for myself and my children to my animals. It's very interesting how maybe this whole here of I just go, I buy this bag of kibble and I drop it in their bowl. It's what everybody else does. It's okay. And everywhere, because everyone else does it, is your excuse and justification to do it too. We're almost done here. I can feel everybody's heads hurting now. And I'm sorry, not sorry. And you might need to listen to it again because the recordings always go up in videos on my Facebook page, Dr. Randy Harper. So you can listen to it again or not if you're like, oh, that one, I don't like that one, Dr. Randy. And that's fine too. But mediocrity is as much of a choice as phenomenons. So everywhere you're choosing mediocrity, let's take a look at that. And everywhere you're choosing phenomenons, let's take a look at that. And everywhere you're excluding your animals because they're just animals. Right? And how can we choose to be phenomenal over there too, with and for them? And a lot of times that starts with their nutrition, their choices, your choices, what's all going to work, and looking at what if it's okay to be different here too. And everywhere you're using the excuse that everyone does this way as your excuse and justification. Let's take a look at that too. Okay, I think everyone's fried. And I feel like I kind of went around in a couple different circles there. I hope I covered everything, or at least threw a few questions into your world, and you can take a look at it when it works for you. Yes, so everywhere you're functioning from the lowest. Oh, that's what I wanted. I knew there was one more thing. I tried to find the video, and I think it's been a couple years, maybe more as time flies. Dr. Dane here, one of the co-founders of Access Consciousness, did a video and put the challenge out there, and I may mess up this challenge because I really wanted to find it, but I couldn't. About, yep. So Neely says I used to justify things by everyone does it, but I finally decided that I was not everyone or anyone else. Yes, rise of the weirdo rebel pet parents. Woo-hoo! But yeah, we're not everybody else. You're you. And being you, what's it going to take for you to truly be you? No matter what it looks like, no matter what it takes. But he actually Dr. Dane put out this challenge about, okay, so for, I don't know, so many few days, he's like, just be as mediocre as you possibly could be. And everyone went, can't do it, not gonna choose it. And yet, I think we all have our places where we have decided it was okay to be mediocre. So this is my invitation to you to take a look at those places, those spots where you have decided it was okay to be mediocre. And maybe it's a big place, maybe it's a little place, I don't know. This is for you to take a look at and see. But yeah, I remember that challenge, and it kind of like rippled through like Access Consciousness and all the facilitators and all that jazz on, no, I can't be mediocre. Why would I choose to be mediocre? And yet I probably still have my spots, right? I still okay, today, and maybe it's just not every day, but today it's just going to be easier to autopilot this day. And is it really easier? Okay, that's my last question. Yes, Keisha, love what our animals invite us to. They invite us to a lot that we completely disregard and ignore. Most of us, most of the time. And what's it going to take to change that relationship with your animals? Okay, what did you say? Weirdo rebel pet parents. Welcome here. Dr. Andy's World. Thank you for joining me today on this kind of a wild ride of a live chat, a little TLC, Tuesday live chat with Dr. Andy. Okay, so Friday, because every Friday, 3 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, Positive Podcast, Dr. Andy's World. This is, it's just about Halloween. I have a special guest on the show, Dr. Adriana Popescu, and we talked about animals and entities and what do your animals know. One of my favorite under-talked about, under-discussed, really coolness topics. Hi, Gladys. Ever. Animals and entities. Love it, love it, love it. Way out there. Weirdo, rebel, pet parents. So I dare you to check it out. That is this Friday, October 30th. Can you believe, like, we're going into the home stretch here, peeps. We hit Thanksgiving and Christmas and we're out of 2020. And what would it take for 2021 to be a shit ton more fun? So you can have fun with your questions too. Okay, and tonight, that's Friday, animals and entities. But tonight, it's kind of a double header. And if you're on the email list, you already know this. We are doing When the Fairy Tale Becomes Your Nightmare. 7 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. I think Keisha's going to hook us up with the link in the comments. If you want to get there, it is free. You just have to register. And we are hopping off the animal tracks. This is Dr. Andy's World. And I do a lot with animals. I do a lot with relationships. I do a lot with business. So I would like to start talking about all of that. So, When the Fairy Tale Becomes Your Nightmare. Another Halloween-y, seasonal themed call. It's free. We'd love you to join us. You just have to register. So hit the link in the comments somewhere or in the description. I don't know. And it's actually drandysworld.com/magic. It's actually pretty easy. There it is. Keisha got it up there. And we're going to have fun. We're going to talk about something different. We're going to have a little bit of fun and talk about relationships. So I would love for you all to join me. I think that's it. I think we're done for today. We'll be back next week. We'll come up with something else to talk about, maybe fry your brains with, the huge here in Dr. Andy's World, where we welcome the weirdo rebel pet parents and beyond, and all those folks that are out there questioning, looking, and changing the world just by being them. How's it get even better? Okay, my magical friends, until we meet again, how much fun can you have with your animals? Bye-bye.